The tall black door in the narrow city street remained closed. I rang, and knocked, and rang again. I could not hear the bell ringing. To ring it again and again was simply an act of faith or despair. And later, sitting before a hut in French Guinea, where I never meant to find myself, I remembered this first going astray, the buses passing at the corner and the pale autumn sun. An errand boy came to my help, asking me whether I wanted the consul, and when I said yes, that was what I wanted, the boy led me straight to the entrance of St. Dunstan's Church, and up the steps and into the vestry. It wasn't the sort of beginning I'd expected when I was accumulating the tent I never used, the hypodermic syringe I left behind, the automatic pistol which remained hidden underneath boots and shoes and bags of silver in the money box. They were preparing for the harvest festival. The vestry was crowded with large, dressy yellow blooms and litters of vegetable marrow. I couldn't see the consul anywhere. The errand boy peered among the flowers in the dim light, and at last pointed to a little, intent woman bent above the blooms. "There she is," he said. "That's her. She'll tell you." I felt very self-conscious picking my way among the vegetables in St. Dunstan's, asking, "Could you, by any chance, tell me, is the Liberian consul—" But she knew, and I left that street for another. It was 3 o'clock, and lunch at the consulate was just over. 3 men, I could not distinguish their nationality, overcrowded the tiny room, which was deeply buried in a huge new glittering office block. The window-sill was lined with old telephone directories, school textbooks of chemistry. One man was washing up lunch in a basin stuck in the top of a waste paper basket. Unidentifiable yellow threads, like bast, floated in the greasy water. The man poured a kettle of boiling water from a gas jet over a plate which he held above the basket. Then he wiped the plate with a cloth. The table was littered with bursting parcels of what looked like stones, and the lift porter kept on putting his head in at the door and flinging down more parcels on the floor. The room was like a shabby caravan held up for a moment in a smart, bright street. One doubted whether, returning in a few hours' time to the gleaming, mechanized block, one would still find it there. It would almost certainly have moved on. But everyone was very kind. It all came down to a question of paying money. No one asked me why I wanted to go, although I had been told by many authorities on Africa that the Republic of Liberia resented intruders. In the consulate, they had little guttural family jokes among themselves. "Before the war," a large man said, "you didn't need passports. Such a fuss. Only to the Argentine." And he looked across at the man who was making out my papers. "If you wanted to get to the Argentine, you even had to give your fingerprints a month ahead, so that Scotland Yard and Buenos Aires could get together. All the scoundrels in the world went to the Argentine." I examined the usual blank map upon the wall, a few towns along the coast, a few villages along the border. "Have you been to Liberia?" I asked. "No, no," the large man said. "We let them come to us." The other man stuck a round red seal on my passport. It bore the national mark, a 3-masted ship, a palm tree, a dove flying overhead, and the legend, "The love of liberty brought us here." Above the same red seal, I had to sign the declaration of an alien about to depart for the Republic of Liberia. I have informed myself of the provisions under the immigration law, and am convinced that I am eligible for admission into the Republic thereunder. I realize that if I am one of a class prohibited by law from admission, I will be deported or detained in confinement. I solemnly swear that the above statements are true to the best of my knowledge, and that I fully intend, when in the Republic, to obey and support the laws and constituted authorities thereof. The only thing which I knew of the law was that it forbade a white man to enter the country, except through the recognized ports, unless he had paid a large sum for an explorer's license. I intended to enter the country from the British border and make my way through the forest of the interior to the coast.